All right, Metalheads, this is DJ REM, and you're tuned into the Crushed Beyond Dust show, only on MetalDevastationRadio.com. And I have Ryan from the band Lunar on the line. How you doing tonight, brother?
Doing great. How you doing?
Everything is going very well. Thanks for taking time to call in for the interview. Much appreciated.
Of course, my pleasure.
So if we could start, if you could introduce yourself and your spot in the band, and then the rest of the band that's not with us tonight as well, if you could introduce them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am Ryan Irwin. I play rhythm guitar and am one of the head songwriters in the band, myself along with Alex Bosson, who is the drummer and co-songwriter. Basically, together we flesh out all of the song ideas, and as far like I write the riffs, and he comes up with a few riffs here and there, and I kind of make them because he's the drummer. He's the drummer, so I kind of make them more guitar oriented and take his ideas and run with them. And so we write the songs that way. And as far as the band goes, that's it. We have a bassist who's local, Ryan Price, but he's not technically a part of the band. He's more like a session musician in those terms, but he is the only other constant member across all of the tracks. And so that being said, Alex and I are the head of the band.
Okay, very
And
cool.
Alex is in Sacramento. I'm in Stockton, California, and we do everything together.
Hey, very good. So what is going on with the band right now? What are you guys up to?
Honestly, we're kind of just riding the wave of the new album. We aren't, obviously, we can't be a live show at the moment because it's just Alex and I, and there are, 20-plus guest musicians on the album. And so there's not much we can do as far as live shows. And I got a son that I'm raising, and my lovely girlfriend that supports me very much. And Alex has his wife that is actually on the album. She sings on the album, and they're very supportive. But as far as the band goes, we're just kind of seeing where this goes. We released an EP a few years back, and we're just chasing our dream right now.
All right. So how long have you guys been together doing this then?
Well, we formed sometime prior to 2014. Alex and I have known each other since we were in, I don't know, 8th grade, 9th grade.
Oh,
and
so,
cool. We've always, we were always kind of on a different musical path until a few years ago when we both, really evolved into progressive rock. And it kind of just came together. We've jammed together a few times in the past, but I think we were both just really ready to head down a very specific direction with something that we both really loved.
Yeah, right on. So who are you guys' influences then that kind of got you into this, I guess, style of music?
Well, okay, so for me personally, the reason I started even recognizing music as an outlet and as something more than just sound, was Nirvana, honestly. And that's the reason I started writing music. And I know you probably can't hear much of that influence in our music, but that's why I make music. But obviously, progression is really the theme of the band. And, I personally progressed to Tool, and from there to Opeth. Alex introduced me to Opeth, and, I wasn't a fan of the growls at first, but every bit of it grew on me. And then Steven Wilson, and I know Alex is a big fan of Hawken and Arion, and I enjoy Animals as leaders. So, all of these things really come into play when we think about music at all. But honestly, we have such varied, we are so interested in so many different types of music that we draw influence from literally anything, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I think Alex wrote a drum riff based on Maroon 5. It literally goes everywhere. We just love music in general.
Oh, that's cool, though. I like that you have multi-influence. It sounds like probably across multiple different genres of music, and actually I think that's a great thing for musicians. So
yeah, it's a good way to keep things fresh,
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Did you have anybody like in your family growing up that was into music that kind of influenced as well?
Actually, my whole father's side of the family, the Irwins, um, they've had a piano business. My grandfather started it in Modesto, California. He started a music store where he sold multiple music instruments. But from there, everyone kind of got influenced by the piano. And so my family still, to this day, is the primary source of Steinway refinishers and rebuilders in California. And so, my grandmother sang in the choir in our church, and tried to make me go here and there, but I'm not all about that. So anyway, but I wish I would have paid a little more attention when she tried to give me piano lessons when I was a kid. But yeah, so music has been in my family since and my dad growing up listened to the classic rock station around in our local area for every single day, all day, for all I can remember. So that influenced me greatly, Led Zeppelin and everything, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. All of those things greatly influenced me. So my family is a very musical one in terms of that.
Okay, very nice. How did you guys come up with the name for the band? I guess what drew you to Lunar?
It's kind of funny, actually. When we were young, we had a little project called Lunar that we worked on. That we called the Melancholia, that we worked on for a little while. But unfortunately, the timing wasn't right, and we were still in school, and everything was just crazy. So we kind of took a break for a while from that, and basically where this came from was it's kind of embarrassing, really. Opeth is obviously one of our number one influences. And Opeth got their name, so we hear, they got their name from a book, I believe, and I think it's Opeth. It's some weird foreign word, but it's like Opetha or something, was the name of a moon in something that Michael Ackerfeld, the singer-songwriter of Opeth, really was interested in. So me and Alex were just kind of playing around with names, and we were like really delving deep at this point because we were like, everything's taken and we don't know what to do. So we just kind of went really simple with it, and we like we're nighttime people. We enjoy the moon, so we decided, let's just go simple. Let's just go lunar.
Okay, cool. That works, right?
Absolutely, and it's easy to remember,
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of Lunar and everything kind of entailed there, so I'm looking at the cover art for the album, and this is super badass. Who designed that artwork
Absolutely.
for you?
I'm glad you asked. Actually, Alex's dad, Ed Bosson, is an amazing artist. He is an incredible artist, and my whole life I've been inspired by his works, and we're very fortunate when we were working on the album to be graced by his talent. And Alex had asked his dad, hey, we're working on this album. It's based on the 9 muses of the Greek theology, and we were like, can you come up with something? And like his initial concept was just breathtaking. It was just mind blowing. So we're like, absolutely, take it from here. Just do your thing from here. And what he came up with, we could not have possibly fathomed something better.
Yeah, it's super cool. Huge props to him. Tell him when you did this interview that the DJ was super impressed.
Absolutely, will do. He'll be very glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's that's one of the things I always look. I check out whenever I get an album sent. I always check out the artwork because it's one of the reasons I still buy vinyl to this day, is because I love the artwork and I love being able to have that physical picture in my hand. So to get to see this is really cool. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll never give up vinyl or CDs because I just absolutely love the book and the detail. That's one of the reasons I love Tool is Alex Gray and all the artwork, and
yeah.
It's just so involved. It's so relative to the music.
Yep, exactly. So speaking of all that, how has the album been released? Is there any vinyl out there? Is it on CD? What are the options?
Right now, we have not released any vinyl, although I would like to, because personally, Alex and I are both very big fans of vinyl and the sound, and I mean, just being able to hold it in your hands. We're a little, old in that sense, but at the same time, there's a certain production cost for all of that. So right now, Theogony has been released on CD, available through Dive Bomb Records. Also available through our Bandcamp, which is lunarbandofficial.bandcamp.com, and it is also available on all of the major outlets out there, like iTunes and the Apple Store and I don't know. I'm not familiar with Android, but I know there are ways that you can get it through there. But you can always go through lunarbandofficial.bandcamp.com to purchase either the physical copy or the MP3 of the album.
All right, very good. And then, as far as band promotion and such, what social networking and what websites are you on that way?
Honestly, we're not big on Twitter, so we're not really big on social network in general. So we primarily go through Facebook, and that's our Lunar Band Facebook. And so, we've been very, especially as of late with all of, with the release and all of the news and everything, we've been very conscious of our Facebook, and so we try to be on there as often as possible. We do answer any fan mail and, any requests, anything like that, and we can fulfill any orders through Facebook as well.
Okay, excellent. And also in regards to the new album, Theogony, what, as far as recording and mastering and all that, who did that work for you guys?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's actually an old friend of ours that we went to high school with. His name is Jordan Lawn, and he's a genius. And he's based here in Modesto as well, but out of Modesto, where we came from as well. But his studio is called Someplace Studios, and that's SUM, Someplace Studios, and it's based out of Ceres, California. And we recorded all of our parts there. Obviously, we have a lot of guest musicians that recorded their home, in their home studios, and then sent it to Jordan, at which point he mixed it into everything else, and he did all the mixing as well, and I think he did an excellent job. So, big thumbs up to Jordan from Someplace Studios for that.
Very cool. So, you mentioned, you kind of mentioned some of the bands that were your influences. I'm always curious to know what music artists are listening to themselves, like right now. So, what would you say, like, your top 3 bands you're listening to right now?
Oh man, lately, you're gonna think it's weird, probably, but me personally, I really enjoy Fiona Apple. I know that's kind of like a throwback, but I enjoy Fiona Apple a lot. I'm always listening to Opeth and Tool, so I'm gonna count that as one, and then. Thirdly, I'd have to say I'm always on the search for, something new that kind of strikes the mood. And off the top of my head, I can't really think of. I like to stay in touch with new music, just to kind of see what's going on and to see where everyone else is going with their own directions and things. And
right.
So. To give you a final definitive answer, I'd have to say there's this band called Holloway, which is they're pretty fresh and new themselves. They're not very established. They've had a couple of albums, but I've talked to the singer a few times, and they're definitely in our genre, and they're what I would consider our peers. So yeah, Holloway definitely is someone that. But Animals is leaders other than that. So.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Sorry, you give you like 5 there, but
yeah, no, that's cool.
Is everything.
Yeah, most of what I listen to is typically underground and unsigned or independent label stuff because that's what I get sent and that's what I like to listen to. But
absolutely.
But I don't know if you're a Marilyn Manson fan, but the new album is so badass. I cannot stop listening to it.
That's what I've heard. I was never the biggest Manson fan. I really, really, really enjoyed his direction and the ideas that he would portray, and kind of just the music in general, and it was different at the time, and that was when I was like in junior high, and so it was obviously very influential at the time,
right,
to everyone. And so I was really disappointed in some of his later work, but I've heard lots of good things about that. So coming from you, I'll have to check it out now.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's Heaven Upside Down. It is so good. I can't even overstate it. But speaking of music that's so good, your new album, Theogony, is really good as well. And one of the things that we kind of talked about before we went on air, you kind of mentioned how the album was kind of a concept album. So I guess could you kind of explain that a little bit and kind of what thought process went into the creation of this album?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, when we started the album, in general, when we started writing music after the EP, Provenance, we didn't really have a direction. And, it was just me recording guitar riffs on my phone, and, I'd send them to Alex, and we'd decide, okay, I think this riff and that riff should go together, and so on and so forth. But once, we started to get a few songs together and kind of felt where it was going and just kind of listened to it, we realized that we kind of needed a direction. We wanted a direction. And I honestly don't remember where, what era it came out of, but at some point the idea of a thematic album came up, and the idea of a concept album came up. And, honestly, I think one of us wanted to name one of the songs after one of the Greek muses, and we kind of looked further into that, and we realized, well, wow, I mean, the Greek muses literally cover every aspect of not only life, but of why we listen to and make music. And so we did a little more research, and I think Alex decided, I think this is the direction we should go as far as not only naming the tracks after the muses, but making each of the songs correspond to that specific muse. There's a muse of love, there's a muse of music, there's dance, and it covers the gamut. So at that point, I think he kind of, together we decided that was the direction we wanted to go. And even though it was a huge, huge, huge undertaking, and I absolutely envy, I admire everyone who has done any kind of concept album, but it was a huge undertaking, but it was so worth it. So I'm really glad that we decided to take that direction.
Yeah, badass. How long did it take you from beginning to end?
Oh, honestly, we literally started. I had maybe a handful of riffs, one or two songs worth of material prior to that we hadn't used for Provenance, our EP, in 2014. That I was like, all right, well, let's throw this on the table and see where it takes us. And especially certain songs on the album are kind of directions that we might not have gone, like especially Polyhymnia and things like that, directions that we might not have gone otherwise. And so we thought, oh, well, this is the perfect time to use this material. And so, honestly, we started 2014 at some point, really early 2014, maybe even prior to that. Some riffs had maybe been around since 2012. And we literally went until the day we finished, which was last year in 2016. Post-production went till 2017, but, well,
Right on. No, you put your heart and your soul to it,
Absolutely.
Yep. Very cool. Very cool. So, in the past, have you ever been in any bands where you've done like a lot of live shows? Have you ever been in that situation?
Me personally, I haven't been in many actual touring or live bands. I have mostly been on my own. I create a lot of music by myself on my own, and I have always just kind of like I've never been able to find anyone with similar musical interests until Alex. And even knowing Alex so long, it took a while for our musical interests to catch up with one another. And so prior to Lunar, I was in Etched in Stone, which is a local band out of California in Modesto, fronted by Brian Lewis, who actually did the growl vocals on this album, on Theogony. And I was in Etched in Stone for a little while as a rhythm guitarist, as backup guitarist. And, I played one or two shows with them, but, it just wasn't really my thing, my direction. I really wanted to go in my own direction, and I really wanted to go in a progressive direction, which is where my heart was. So, yeah, I've done that, but Alex has been he was in Decomposition, which toured the U.S., and things like that. So Alex is much more accomplished in those terms. But, I've just been kind of like stewing with this stuff for my whole life.
Oh, that's cool, and, not everybody, that's their thing, so I definitely can respect that. That's cool. So, I have a question from the chat room, because we have a live chat on the website, and and I don't remember at this point who asked, but somebody wanted to know if you're a fan of Meatloaf.
Meatloaf?
Yeah, the artist, not the food.
Oh, the artist, not the food, right?
Yeah.
I knew what you meant. Me personally, I can't say that I am. I maybe, but I won't do that. I mean, maybe that song. But aside from that, I'm not a big Meatloaf fan.
I'm not either, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah. But I can see where someone might grasp that from the vocals on the album.
Yeah, I think I might dislike him more than the Beatles, to be honest. So, and yep, I just said that on air.
More bands that I detest more than Meatloaf.
Right on. Okay, is there anything else you would like the listeners to know about Lunar that we haven't talked about? And also, while we're talking about while I'm asking that, please plug your website and places to buy the album again as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the only thing that I would like to mention is that, there obviously will be an album number 2. Alex is very busy. I'm very content and very busy and happy with my family, my son Grayson and my girlfriend Natalie, and we're just trying to live right now. But Alex has his other band, which is Helion Prime. You can find them on Facebook as well, and they're power metal. I don't know if the listeners are into that, but they can definitely check it out. Aside from that, we're just going to keep working. Unfortunately, as we are a two-piece, we will not be playing any live shows. But as of right now. But like I said, we'll always be working on new music because music is what we do. So. Our Facebook is Lunar Band Official. It's Lunar. I think it's lunarband.facebook.com. I've never really looked at how to get there with, I'm just an admin on the page. So.
Right on. It's kind of like when somebody asks you your phone number.
Bandcamp.com is where you can purchase the album, whether it be MP3 or physical CD if you're old school like me.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's like when somebody asks you your phone number or someone else's phone number. You're like,
exactly,
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. These days it's just there. It's just there. We don't even need to know.
I just push a button and it happens.
Yeah, I don't know how that. It's just there. Like what?
Yeah. Okay. So just once again, I want to thank you for taking the time to call in. Much appreciated. I've enjoyed this interview very much. One last thing before I let you go, if you could just do a quick radio tag. Just say your name, and you're from the band Lunar, and you're listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Go.
This is Ryan Irwin from the band Lunar, and you are listening to Metal Devastation Radio.
Perfect. Much appreciated, man. And as I told you prior to the, before we went on air, but so everyone else knows, I do have a triple shot of Lunar coming up. I have Cleo. I still can't say that.
Calliope.
Thank you, Calliope. It's like so easy yet so hard to say at the same time. And
yeah,
then,
I know, right?
And then polymnia. Anyways, 3 killer tracks. Stay tuned for these guys, and we will crank it right now.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, man. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you again sometime.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.